we'll go to Zoom if people put their hands up and we've got time. Sky, Alan first of all to kick us off, and then we'll go to Damien from Liverpool.
Yeah, thanks, Matt. Hi, Jurgen. Just a quick reflection, first of all, on that excellent performance on Wednesday, excellent results as well. I think you described it as a big step in our development, and many said it was a 9 out of 10 performance. I think from the outside looking in, many will say, wow, just 9. How close are you to a 10, and how good a side can this become, really?
Because I don't think it was even close to an 8, if I'm 100% honest, and that's because we had there was a spell in the game where we let them get back in the game. Not only the goal we conceded around that, being 2-0 up, being completely in control of the game, and that changed after the 2-0. It was not. Is it possible to play a game over 95 minutes like we did in the first 15-20? I don't know. But for sure, we could be closer to these first 15-20 minutes than we were in the 20 minutes after that. So, but of course, there were so many brilliant football moments. And what I like most about it is that we were really completely in control of our emotions, which is very important because it was never close to a heated or whatever fixture. There was one situation, I think, when Diogo Jota was down, 2-3 players were around, these kind of things, and we really wanted to be as calm as possible, knowing that we need to be very aggressive as well, and all these kind of things. So it's a challenge to go in a game like this with the atmosphere we could have had in a game. But I think that the start of the game just calmed everything a little bit down, and finish up the game for sure as well. So yeah, it was a really good game. I said it was the best game from us at Goodison since I'm here, and what do we want more?
Your side are playing so well, scoring lots of goals, winning virtually every game. It must be tempting not to change the team, but with the number of games, of course, you've got this month, have you got a real balancing act to perform in terms of players' welfare and getting results, of course?
Yeah, players' welfare is of course very important, but it's we are used to tough schedule. The boys are used to tough schedule, obviously. I don't think we have to make now between the games plenty of changes, at least on the start of December. We have to see how it will be in the middle or the end of December. But we will see. It's a constant conversation with the medical department, fitness department. But we have pretty much all data we can have and use them. And looking at that, then making a lineup which gives you a big chance to win the next football game. And this week it's the same. We changed quite a lot in the last few weeks. This week we play Wolves. Wolves play Wednesday as well, so both the same for both teams. So we'll see what we do exactly. I didn't make the lineup yet, but I would expect now 7-8 changes.
What do you make of Wolves? 3 clean sheets in a row, but they've only scored 1 in their last 4 games. So how do you approach this one?
First of all, I have to say a big compliment to the colleague there, because it's really impressive. The impact there, I think it was not so easy to go there after the long time. Nuno has been there, and then when everything's kind of settled, and I think was mostly happy, even when the last season was maybe not the best season Wolves had since that back in the Premier League, but it was still very stable, clear way of style of play and these kind of things, and he changed, and in a good direction, unfortunately. So it's a real football playing side with a real football playing idea. Defending maybe didn't change too much. It's still a similar system what they played before. Everybody's involved when you play for Wolves. I think that's clear. We know that from the time when we were having a closer look on Diogo Jota and the numbers he had running wise were incredible, and that made it more interesting for us. And so the offensive players, they have still to do the same now. Means they have counterattacks, but they have technically good players. So the Neves is available again. So to get him together with Moutinho is a proper midfield, and whoever plays then on the wing and Jimenez up front, I'm really happy for him that he's back and that he came over all the misery pretty much. Was awful pictures. Now when I talk about it, I have it still in my mind. So I'm really happy to see him back, and hopefully he will score a lot of goals apart from Saturday. But it's a good team, and it's really difficult to play. You're right. They didn't score now. They're not famous now for conceding a lot as well, and not even conceding a lot of shots on goal and these kind of things. So we have to be creative for sure.
Got this run of 9 games through December, and I think it's Chelsea in the new year. How would you describe that period, which is clearly sort of pivotal in how the season's going to play out?
Yeah, it's crazy. It's my 6th, 7th season. I don't know exactly. It's crazy. It was always crazy and will always be crazy. I think everything is fine until you reach then Christmas time, because 26 and 28 it's still not right, and we do that nowadays. It's still not right, and we have to accept that, and obviously we do that, and it's a tradition. I get all that, but it's really tough. It's really tough. And it's on the end of December pretty much. And January is not getting better. The more successful we are in the cup competitions is, then it's pretty much exactly the same. So we have now 2 months ahead of us, which will be really difficult to deal with. But it's the only good news about that is for all teams the same. We have exactly 1 game more than other teams now, than some other teams, because we have 1 more Champions League game apart from that. Then, and the Carabao Cup, right? So 2 games more, but all the rest is for all the same, and that means we all have to dig in and fight through that period. Being smart, try to recover as quick as possible. In the end, and we know that even when it's highest intensity, because it's Premier League, it's just 95 minutes every 3 days. That's I know it's not just 95 minutes. It's 95 minutes of super intense runs, super intense challenges, and all these kind of things. So it's really not easy, but in the end, it's doable, and that's what we try to do.
A lot of people are saying there are 3 outstanding teams in this title race. Is this the most exciting title race in your time at Liverpool?
Is it already a title race? I don't know. It's a very, I said before, it's a very, very good, highest quality league. Honestly, it's unbelievable how good you have to be to win a single football game in this league, and that we are around there. That's our target. You cannot win the league in November or December. You can lose it maybe. That's possible, but you cannot win it. So you have to be around. You have to keep contact. You have to be up there, and that means we have to chase everybody. Each player of each team we face from all directions pretty much, and just to make sure that we are this 1 goal better in pretty much all the games, and that's a challenge. But I can see it in a moment already as a title race, but it's exciting, obviously. But it's not that we already start looking. I cannot say that never happened in the past. I think everybody knows that I watched the Leicester game when they played Man City and Company. Got that screamer. It's not that I already watched now City and Chelsea games and think how to be good if they lose or whatever. I most of the time I don't even know if they played and when they played, but that hopefully will happen at some point in March or April. That would be great, and that would mean we are still around. But until between now and then, there are obviously an awful lot of games to play, and let's focus now on the next one.
Juliet from the BBC, then we'll go to Per on the Zoom, and then we'll go to Mike from the radio.
And Jurgen, can I talk about Diogo Jota again, scoring in midweek? He makes it look so easy. You mentioned him before in the press conference, with him being at Wolves, and you've taken that closer look at him. How much work goes into identifying a player like that, and then how much work does that player have to do to get to the level where he's at now?
Diogo is well, that's what I didn't know, obviously, when I saw him first, but it's an incredible package. From personality point of view, it's incredible, really incredible boy. really smart, really organized, structured in a very nice way. That's all what I didn't know, but it helps. When you look at his career, where he started, on Atletico, then on loan, all these kind of things, going then to Wolves. And I remember that when I saw him the first time, I thought it could be a player for me, because of how intense he was in all the situations. It's technically, obviously, on a really high level, but the intensity he put in, that makes a real difference, because on our level, they are technically, all the players are technically incredible quality. But everybody is really on a high level in one area, so how can you make a difference? And you can make the difference then with your attitude, and that's what I was most excited about Diogo. This little mix. Then people maybe would have said that, yeah, but he didn't score an awful lot of goals. The problem is that Wolves had probably the most intense style of play for the offensive wingers, like defensively, in an unbelievable way. So Jimenez was allowed to stay a little bit up. All the rest had to cover pretty much the whole pitch, and that costs you energy for being calm. And he was very young. He turns tomorrow 25. So he was very young then, and all that made it really interesting for us. And for us, it was clear that he will make the next steps with us. And that's what he did.
Atle from TV2 Norway, and then we'll go to Mike Hughes.
Hi again, thank you for your time. I wanted to ask you a question about Mohamed Salah, who has been in brilliant form this season. In previous seasons, though, he has been criticized for being too selfish, but now he's not just your top goal scorer and the top goal scorer in the Premier League. He's also the player with the most assists in the league, almost twice as much as entire last season for him. So my question is, have you made some changes in that aspect of the game for him to make him more a team player, if you like, or is it a coincidence?
It's not a coincidence, but we didn't have now a specific talk about that or whatever, because it was not necessary. These things happen naturally. It was never criticized by us for being too selfish or whatever, because he never was. That a striker who comes in situations where we all want them to finish off, that he from time to time oversees a mate who's maybe in a better position. It's completely normal, but it's really easy to sit at home on the sofa and say, "Oh, it was that fast game to go." If you played yourself the game, then you know it's the most difficult thing to do. But what helps a lot is experience. What helps a lot is being in similar situations for plenty of times, that you know what happens when we are there. As a team, we developed, obviously, so it should be clear when you are in a specific area on the pitch, that in like 10, 15 yards away from in another specific area, it should be a player with wearing the same shirt, because of our formation. And that what helps, obviously, then as now the experience is calm enough, didn't lose any kind of greed for scoring, but is calm enough and developed technically again it's incredible what he did. So it just has more time to see the right things in the situation. When you see somebody in a better position, you can be sure he passed the ball there. But when he thinks he can finish it off himself, then I expect him to try to finish it off himself, even when he misses the chance, because that's the nature of the chance. You finish it off, and then you realize it was the right decision or not. And obviously for him, it was very often the right decision.
Mike Hughes, and we'll go to Carl.
Hi, Jurgen.
Long time no see.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
Very
It's
much.
4 weeks since the West Ham defeat, and after that there was the international break. But since then, Liverpool, I think 4 games, 14 goals scored, 1 conceded. The players appear to have come back sort of re-energized and almost as if there's been a reset after the international break. And what are the ingredients that enable you to sort of do that, or the players to do that too?
Not really re-energized. It was intense periods, the international break for me, for you, for the players. It wasn't. It had important games to play. Finals, pretty much, to qualify for the World Cup, right? For the World Cup, and what helped most was the defeat at West Ham. Unfortunately, we are human beings, and as human beings, sometimes you need to get a knock to get that you really understand what is necessary. And unfortunately, I would now love to say it was the last defeat we needed for that, but maybe we have some other coming up. We try to avoid that, but it helped a lot because the game at West Ham was a very good example that we conceded to goal after set pieces is not good, but with the quality of West Ham can happen. Problem was we gave West Ham too much set pieces, especially corners, whatever. Because they are good in that, so you have to avoid that. Means you have to defend them higher, that they don't come in a situation where they can get the corner. These kind of things. There are so many things we could have done, we should have done better. Because we scored there obviously 2 goals, but we conceded 3, and we didn't concede 3 because we made all mistakes in the last line. No, we conceded 3 goals because we let these set pieces happen. And they only happen when we don't defend as a unit really well. And this was one of these games where it was clear what was the reason for losing, not the offensive part of our game, but the defensive part of our game. And we all know you only can be consistent. You can only win football games consistently if you defend on the absolute highest level. That's what we didn't do that day. That's why we lost. And that's what we took into the consideration into the next game. It was difficult to analyze it then because they had their leave. But when they came back, we still reminded them for 10 days. That we did not really well in that department, and we have to improve that. Easy said, but obviously we worked a lot on these kind of things in the preseason, and then the season starts and hectic schedule and all these things, and you lose them a little bit, and that was an important moment to get that back really in our focus and to go again from there. But in the end, things like this will not last forever, or will only last as long as you stay 100% focused. That's for us the job to do now.
Welcome. Okay, so it's Carmark and Neil Jones, and then we go to the embargo section. I think that's answers that. Yes, it is. Yeah. Good. So Carl, Neil, and to the embargo section.
Hi, just go back to Diogo Jota. A lot of his goals seem to be right place, right time. Southampton, particularly, he was close to goal. He scored. How much of that is design, and how much is his natural instinct, do you think?
Oh, it's both. I don't know how much, like 50% that, 50% that, I don't know, but it's both. You have, as a striker, you have to be there. The goals he scored against Southampton. I think Mo was, if Diogo is not there, Mo is there. So it was obviously that Sadio passed the ball to Robbo. Robbo goes with a brilliant run, but a brilliant pass as well. And then you need to have a player, at least one player at the first post. We had 2 players at the first post, which is a pretty good idea when the ball is arriving there. That was the first goal. The second goal is then you, as a striker, you're not involved in the, it was a 1-2 between Hendo and Mo. And then Mo passed the ball square, and Joe was in front of the goal. So you always say that these goals are not easy. It looks easy in the last moment, but it's not easy because you have to be there. You have to read the situations right. So that's both instinct, but as design, the way we want to call it design, he has to be there. So that's what you do in training. That's why you have to. It makes a good game. A game is a good game when you have a cross or a pass into the box, and you have at least 4 options there. That makes a good game. On the first post, you have one on the second post, you have one in the center and one on the edge. So that's a really good goal, I think. The Hendo's goal against Everton is a goal like this, for example. And these kind of things. Again, it's so easy to speak now about it, but in a game, you cannot say in a moment when you realize, oh, it will cross in a second and you are 60 yards away, you will not make it. So it's all about how you develop the game in these areas. And if that would be easy, we would do it. Would have started 2015 October exactly with that, and would be now even much better in that. But it's not, because the opponent is there in between and they defend situations, and you have to judge it right. good example for judging situations right is the goal we conceded against Everton. Trent was 100% convinced we keep the ball on that side. That's why he was already a bit wide and high, which is absolutely fine. If we keep the ball, in that moment when we don't keep the ball, it's then easy for me to say, but Trent, where have you been? But actually, yeah, it's easy, but it's not right because we lost the ball on that side. We had a lot of players on that side to keep the ball, or if we can keep it, to please shoot them over the roof or whatever. So that's good. You have to judge situations, and you have to offer options for your mates, and you have to follow the situation that you are in a good spot for either finishing it off or protecting the whole attack. That's it.
We see pictures of Joe Gomez and Naby Keita joining in parts of training. Whereabouts are they?
Big parts. It was really nice to see. They were yesterday, or we didn't let them do the full session, but it actually, just because medical told us don't do that, but they look brilliant. So they will use now, I think, the next 2-3 days to do the stuff they have to do while being part of team training. And then I think from Sunday on, if nothing happens between now and then, they should be in contention again.
Final one of this section before we go to embargo and
You've added Claudio Taffarel to the coaching staff. Just tell us a bit about how that came about and what you think he'll bring to the club.
Definitely, really good guy. For a while already the idea, and I saw all our extremely talented goalkeepers now. When I see them, like in all age groups, we really think we have an outstanding bunch of players there, starting of course with Ali, but then Cleve, then Marcelo, then Harvey, Beat was brilliant in Ireland, Jarosz is doing well. So, and we have a lot of games, so means we are constantly on the road, in hotels, stuff like this. So we wanted a real solution for these boys, not only for these boys, but for these boys as well, and want to create our own goalkeeping philosophy. Actually, for that we thought it makes sense to mix it up with a coach who was a world-class player, obviously, and works in a moment together with two of the best goalies in the world, Ederson and Alisson. So we spoke to Ali, and yeah, he was quite pleased about that idea, and then we spoke to Tata, and he loved the idea as well. Here we go. It's really good, and yeah, excited. So he's a brilliant guy, and he's older than me, which is really important because he was the oldest in coaching stuff. So that's what a really important part as well. And just to make sure that and John Achterberg renewed his contract, by the way, until 2024, because people are very often making wrong conclusions because of some things. John is the head of the goalie department, and Tafa is a wonderful add-on to that department.
Thank you very much. Now we'll go to the breakout